Devil fruits are such rare, fruits that grant those who eat it with incredible powers and abilities. The extent and variety of abilities one can get out of a devil fruit is limited only by the collective dreams of humanity, though this comes at the cost of losing one's ability to swim and angering the gods of the ocean. These strange, mythical objects are coveted and sought after by pirates and marines alike. With that said, hello and welcome back to the channel, cause today we're looking at the 10 strongest devil fruits in One Piece. Let's begin. Number 10. The Zushi Nomi. He appears nice and kind at first glance, but Admiral Fujitora harbors one of the strongest abilities of the entire series. His devil fruit allows him to manipulate gravity itself, and the distance to which this manipulation is possible is limited only by his own grasp over the fruit. While we see him use this ability to tamper with his opponent's movement or bring down buildings, the actual depth of the power the Zushi contains is frightening. This is evident by how Fujitora can rain down literal meteors from outer space at will, and can use his sword to manipulate the movement of literally everything around him. It is, simply put, a weapon of mass destruction. Number 9. The Goro Nomi. The former self-proclaimed god of Skypiea carried with him the tyrannical Rumble fruit, a Logia-type devil fruit which grants its user a limitless supply of energy and power. With it, Enel's body literally became intangible for non-Haki users, and he was able to use the heat in his body to create electricity and power, which enabled him to travel great distances in the blink of an eye. Not just that, but Enel could use his fruit to move through metal and even control the weather. All this just from a devil fruit that, at first sight, is just about electricity. No wonder Enel was able to reign over Skypiea for decades before the Straw Hats came along. Number 8. The Soru Nomi. Now we're entering the terrain of emperors. The Soul fruit was the source of Emperor Big Mom's power, and these were terrifyingly versatile. Basically, this fruit allows its user to extract the souls of living beings and use it to give life to any object she wishes. Trees, clouds, swords, houses, entire islands, you name it. The side effect is that the process lowers the lifespan of its victims, and almost always ends up in fatally enslaving them to Big Mom's tyrannical empire. But the optics behind this fruit are still absolutely terrifying, especially if viewers have seen the Whole Cake Island arc. The Emperor has companions like Zeus and Prometheus, who provide her with incredible offensive powers. Lastly, if she ever gets injured, Big Mom can even animate parts of her own body and literally make them fix themselves. Number 7. The Magma Nomi. Fleet Admiral Akainu's molten lava powers complement his hard and brutal personality and worldview. With a sense of absolute justice in mind, Akainu's Logia fruit carries with it a sense of authority and debilitating heat. It can allow him to cut through any other Logia fruit with ease, and also overpower other similar abilities, such as those of fire and ice. The boiling heat of the magma which permeates through his body makes him absolutely undefeatable in close combat, as Ace and Aokiji were to find out in quite tragic circumstances. Furthermore, Akainu can also use his ability in more creative ways, by showering his opponents with magma-hot meteors, for instance. Number 6. The Pika Nomi. Another admiral on this list is Kizaru's Pika, which can literally turn its user into light. Yeah, that's overpowered. It also complements the character's efficient bureaucrat personality, as Kizaru is known to be brutal and incisive with his missions. Using this fruit, he can travel at the speed of light, making him undetectable to non-Haki users. He can also shoot laser beams from a large distance, making him very suitable for long-distance combat. Lastly, Kizaru can also literally manipulate his light body to create any weapon, including blades or lasers, or even just a defensive shield that can blind his opponents. No wonder even Gear 5 Luffy was struggling against this absolute beast on Egghead Island. Number 5. The Opop Nomi. This is a fan favorite devil fruit, and many might be irritated by the fact that it isn't even higher on this list. Trafalgar Law might just be an upstart worst generation pirate, but his devil fruit is absolutely deadly and overpowered. Using the Opop fruit, he can turn the space around him into an area which only he can control, basically granting himself godlike abilities to manipulate space and matter at his own discretion. One thing the Doctor often does is makeshift surgeries, removing the hearts of his enemies without killing them, and then using it for manipulative purposes. Furthermore, Law can teleport objects, other people, and himself within his room or influence, making him an absolute nuisance when he's fighting alongside other people. Lastly, the fruit is also said to contain the possibility of an immortality procedure, where the user gives up their life to ensure that their patient lives forever. Let's see how Oda figures the unlimited potential of this fruit in the final arc of the series. Number 4. the Niku Nomi. In the possession of the tyrant Kuma, one of the former 7 warlords of the sea, this devil fruit has truly horrifying powers. On the face of it, the fruit allows its user to repel any attacks by moving objects, while also being able to create large bubbles of offensive attacks that can reach people at very long distances. He can also deflect an opponent's attack back, and this is accomplished by storing those attacks within his offensive bubble. Kuma can also use his paws to teleport people wherever he wants, as he did with the Straw Hats during Sabodi. All of this sounds too much fun, right? Fundamentally, the Niku is supposed to be paws that manifest on the user's hands and are capable of repelling anything and everything at great speed and force. However, we also know that the fruit's ability applies to intangible objects as well, such as someone's suffering and their memories. These are what manifest in the form of bubbles, and allow Kuma to both create offensive attacks while also being able to store memories and suffering of other people. While a truly terrifying prospect, we know that Kuma has always used this fruit for good, such as by taking on the suffering of other people in his village. Number 3. The Gura Nomi, also known as the Quake fruit. This was the property of the late great Emperor of the Sea, Whitebeard. This fruit has earth-shattering abilities, quite literally. Using it, Whitebeard can literally smack open space and time and distort reality to his will. How does he do that? Well, the answer is quite simple. The fruit essentially allows its user to create earthquakes at will by shaking the foundation of the earth itself. So Whitebeard could technically see a huge armada of 100 ships and literally sink them in seconds by causing a shockwave or an earthquake-induced tsunami at sea, winning the battle without throwing a single punch. We see the full extent of this fruit's ability in the War of Marineford, where Whitebeard literally came up, introduced himself, and then split the entire island in half in mere seconds, while everyone was left to behold and unravel this sight helplessly. Don't underestimate just how badly this fruit can hurt you, especially if you're thinking this might just be good for long-distance combat. As evidenced by Marineford, Whitebeard's speed allows him to smack earthquakes into people's faces, something which he did to Akainu, who could do nothing to stop him. Number 2. The Gumgum Nomi. Does it go by Hito Model Nika nowadays? Well, we'll stick to the original wording, which we're both familiar with and attached to. Luffy's Gumgum Fruit was initially just a very fun gimmick for a protagonist. This was someone who could manipulate his body at will, since he had rubber-like properties which allowed him to expand, bloat, shrink, and even expand his organs and heartbeats. It allowed for a large degree of flexibility in combat, both short and long distance. However, this was all before the madness that is Gear 5, or Nika, was revealed. With that, we discovered that this fruit is actually a mythical Zoan, which enables its user to take on the shape of a literal deity, that being the sun god of liberation, Nika. As Nika, the fruit grants Luffy powers that are only possible in the realm of manga and comic books. In fact, it even breaks the structures and limitations imposed by these expansive mediums. Basically, Luffy's powers now extend to the entire world. He can manipulate his body at will, turning into anything he wants in mere milliseconds. In his fight with Kaido, Luffy turns into a giant rectangular-shaped pile of boxes and other things. This makes little sense already, but it gets weirder. Luffy can also manipulate the things around him into having rubber-like properties. He can bounce around on the ground like it's a trampoline, and literally grab lightning and throw it like it's a piece of rubber. Number 1. The Yam Nomi. If Gomu is the devil fruit of the sun and of light, then the Yam Nomi is the fruit of the moon and of darkness. The owner of this ominous power, which tops our list, is Blackbeard himself, one of the main antagonists of the One Piece series. Firstly, we know that the man long sought after this fruit, which he eventually obtained by betraying and killing his friend. Secondly, we know that this fruit and its abilities are so utterly strange and absurd that we still don't know how to classify it or talk about it without potentially missing something out. What is known is that the Darkness fruit can create holes within which Devil Fruit users lose their ability and are turned into literal weaklings. There, this is why Blackbeard can beat literally every other person on this list. As a matter of fact, he has already defeated many here, including Whitebeard, Law, and Luffy among others. This fruit not only absorbs and cancels out the powers of other devil fruits, but Blackbeard seems to have the strange capacity to hold more than one devil fruit at the same time. This is not consistent with the laws of the One Piece world, but we know that somehow this sinister villain now has both the Yam and the Gura Nomi fruits. Is this perhaps an ability of the former fruit? It may just be that since the Yam seems to epitomize the exact opposite of everything that devil fruits stand for, it literally cancels them out. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see another cool anime video, click on this one that appears on your screen. Go ahead, click on it.